Can we talk? There is a handout in front of you that this is going to be participatory. And just like our district director led into about the my why, that's what we're going to be doing. So let me share with you a little story. Are you open to a story this morning? Yeah. And thank you for coming to the USPTO. And I'm honored that I have 12 of my own trademarks registered in this building. And I have to say thanks to Toastmasters for it. I do. I owe it all to Toastmasters because of the ideas and the skills that I've learned here. Today is about endless possibilities, both inside the organization and within your own membership. And my challenge to you today, and thank you very much to Robin who asked us this morning, what are your intentions? What do you want from this day? And I turned to my table and I said, wow, I'm really looking for fun and connection with people. My challenge to you is, what are you doing as a result of your membership? What are you doing with the skills you have learned from your membership? Because if you're keeping it inside of your club, it's not serving anyone else. So we need to use these skills outside in the real world. So here's some of my story. Thank you. This is me. Thank you. And as of this morning, Betsy, thank you for adopting me. Thank you. I'm one of your adoptees. Thank you very much. It's good to be loved. And if you haven't collected one of her big mama hugs, it makes your day. It really makes your day. So that was me. Probably about 3 or 4 years, probably 2 or 3 years old, right? Painfully shy. Now you might be thinking, oh, Sheryl, no, not you. Yes. My mother would drag me on her Avon routes. Do you remember Avon? Ding dong. My mom was one of those. And she would go door to door and all of that. And then when Amway came out, she did Amway too. You know, it was just great. I still use biodegradable soaps. I just do. You can't help that. But it was interesting because I probably learned interpersonal skills from my mother. So when we look back at who shaped our lives, look to your family and how are you the way that you are today. I still had trouble speaking, and really, we're talking painful. So this is me in high school. Yeah, not so bad. Yeah, thanks. You know, when you did the little, do you remember you did the socks and the rags, you know, to curl your hair? Okay, I'm dating myself here. And you men, you know, Ralph, you're going, what? Yeah, right? I had a lot of school spirit. That part you would believe, right? I became commissioner of PEP that would lead the PEP rallies. Now that's perceivable, right? Because I'm still leading PEP rallies today as a motivational speaker, and I get paid for it. But at that particular point, 2,000 people in my school, in the auditorium. Do you remember your icebreaker? Do you remember your stomach in knots for days? Do you remember sleepless nights? And that was only a 5 to 7 minute. I had the same trepidation leading those PEP rallies. I wish I had learned about Toastmasters and our youth leadership program back then. That would be one outreach. So we're getting some thumbs up from people here. Oh yeah, youth leadership. I did mine for the DTM because we needed to at that particular point. Boy, it's a game changer for you personally. So that was high school. Then I was at a Chamber of Commerce meeting and a woman came up to me and she says, oh, you know, great to meet you. What do you do? I own graphic design studios. What are your greatest challenges? Well, all my employees are older than me and I was taught to treat elders with respect, so it's very difficult for me to give feedback to my employees. Oh, I could understand that. Well, I'm in an organization that's having a communication skills series you might be interested in. It's only 8 weeks long, and I'll tell you what, I'll buy you breakfast. How many of us go when there's free breakfast, right? President's brunch, there you go. So I went, and it happened to be at our old town in San Diego at the, matter of fact, El Fandango Mexican restaurant. So I walked in this morning because little did I know how walking through those doors would change my life. I learned communication skills, and matter of fact, Pat Johnson, Pastor International President, snapped this picky of me, and I go, Pat, oh my gosh, and I started crying. She goes, what? And I go, this is where I joined. It was March 15th, 1987. Really? I go, yeah, you're a Pastor International President. Take my picture. so she did. All right. So anyway, that's where it all began. Now, let me share with you, because that 8-week communication series that I joined was called Speechcraft. I'm here today, 31 and a half years later, because of that 8-week program. But no one knew my story when I walked in the door. I'll continue with that. What I learned from this organization and my journey to where I am today is those advanced manuals are gold. So if you're working in your pathways and your presentation mastery, take every project seriously. This program and our classic legacy program, educational, is very well programmed that everything is built on structure. So here's what I do when I first started speaking, and I know tomorrow I'm doing the special breakfast on how to earn accredited speaker, sprinkled in with how to become a paid speaker. So talk to Robin if you want to attend that breakfast. But I would take one of my advanced manuals and an advanced Toastmaster with me, and even though this was not yet a paid engagement, you know, they buy you breakfast at network meetings, I got credit for an outside manual presentation which helped me get into the mindset of being a paid speaker. And at that time in our Distinguished Club program, you had a speaker evaluator trade-out team, so we triple dipped on that. And then when I was pursuing accredited speaker, you needed to give 25 outside presentations. That counted too. That's 4 times for one speech. Cha-ching. Then you start getting paid for it. That's 5. So everything about Toastmasters. And if you want to quote me on anything today, and feel free to take photos and videos of what we're doing during my presentations. I'm good with that today. Please tag it and post it up on the district Facebook page. Is that when you work this program works. May I have an amen? Amen. Because it does. I would not be here. I mean, I cried. I cried standing. My icebreaker was an Oprah ugly cry. No kidding. My tears were rolling down my face. My first 3 speeches. You ask anybody in my club today, they were there. They'll tell you it was that bad. And I had 19 ahs and ums, and I thought, if I want to be a professional speaker, it doesn't mean that I get paid. Not that I'm paying $1.90 to give a speech. And if you can speak over flying huevos rancheros and clanging plates and waiters who don't care that you're speaking for your life, then you can speak through anything. And if you can get to your 7 a.m. meeting and nothing deters you from that, you're going to be successful. Because the successful people make things happen, and especially in the morning. So then a few years later, this was 2009, if you went to the Calgary, well, let's see, Paul, you were probably there, I'm guessing, the Calgary, Alberta, Canada convention. With 2 weeks' notice, World Headquarters called me. They had one of their speakers at the lead educational session back out. At the last second, something came up. And who knows, it could have been fear, it could have been another engagement, and it was all published and everything. And they said, would you replace that speaker? And I said, well, a couple questions. All right, it's in Canada, eh? Okay, so my passport's updated. Yes, ready to go. What is the topic that people are expecting? And it happened to be on speaking skills, and that'll be my second session today. You'll get to see, similar to what I did that day. It had the highest evaluations of the entire convention. And I could not have done that had it not been for the safe environment that we have in our organization to practice. The largest presentation that I'd given, again, thanks to Toastmasters, is 5,000 people, keynote closing of not 1, but 2 conventions, 4 days apart in a sports arena in Salt Lake City, Utah, home of the Jazz. Amazing. I'm on a J-Lo headset. I have a construction helmet on. Those are my Disney clappers and a St. John suit. And I came off the stage because it's a 6-eye mag around the sports arena. I'm running in Stuart Weitzman, you know, the shoes that they wear to the Emmys. So I'm running in them and that suit across the floor. And the cameraman, you'll actually see a clip of the cameraman chasing me to try and keep up with me. Because I believe we should be off the stage and be heart to heart any chance that we can. Thanks to Toastmasters, I got to practice that skill. And it was interesting because the meeting planner, all the other speakers had been using teleprompters where they actually wrote every single word. Raise your hand if you've ever worked with a teleprompter. bless you, it's not for everyone. It's not for me. And yet they required me to go ahead and write that. At the rehearsal before the first convention closing, we couldn't get the pacing of the teleprompter to work for what I was doing, and the meeting planner came over and said, you know, I don't think you need to use a teleprompter. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I did that, standing ovation. 4 days later, a different presentation, and this time they trimmed the time. Has that ever happened to you? Well, thanks to Toastmasters, I could do it. From instead of a 45-minute presentation, it was down to 22 minutes. Still had everything that it needed to have in it. Still got the same paycheck. Still made the impact that it was supposed to do, thanks to Toastmasters. So reflect in your mind for a second. Go back to why you originally joined. There's a handout on your table, and we're actually going to be doing an activity in this. And thank you, Madam District Director, for setting it up with the hashtag #MyWhy. So that's some of my story. We each have a story. In the heart of a Toastmaster book that you heard in the introduction, 135 fellow Toastmasters from around the globe are published in this book. It went on to receive the best anthology from the International Book Awards. I don't need the kudos. I entered this to give our organization global recognition, and it did. Which then, each of the people who are published in this book are also, gosh, celebrities. You have 2 in this room, and you are going to be hearing some of their stories in just a few minutes. So for instance, the story that I wrote in this book about my why is that, and I shared some of the story about the woman at the Chamber of Commerce who had invited me to the club meeting. Here's the rest of that story. Little did I know that when I walked through the doors with the fires crackling in the background and the 2 female professionally dressed sergeant-at-arms, logistic managers, greeting me at the door, little did I know that walking through those doors would change my life and probably save my life. Because little did I know that I needed a boost in my self-esteem, my self-worth, my self-confidence, because I had just filed for a divorce from an alcoholic, abusive man who had threatened to take my life 3 times with a gun. Little did they know in my club of my own personal suffering. But little did I know that not only would I find my voice, I'd find my passion, I'd find my mission, I'd find my area of service to the world in helping other people find their voice as well. Little did I know the self-confidence that it would give me to do all those things that I just showed you on the screen. Little did I know that I would be an old-timer in this organization. My very first district conference, all the men, it was all white men, you know, up at the top, and they were wearing their white tuxedos, and I'm going, whatever they are, I want that, and I wanted the tuxedo too. So it's like, I want to do what they're doing. Had no idea it was called leadership. Leadership. Little did I know that I would go on to become a district governor, only 2 behind Helen Blanchard, the First Lady of Toastmasters. Little did I know. The book is dedicated to Helen, by the way, and the very first chapter is available for free as a download so that her story gets out there. We each have a story. What's yours? Because little did I know that I would be a seasoned Toastmaster. Little did I know that I would be the voice of Toastmasters with the Accredited Speaker Program. Little did I know that it probably saved my life. We each have a story, and that's my why. Here are some of the 135 published contributors, because of course at the convention where it was released, we had several members, I believe it was 12 or 13, is that correct, Laura? That were showcased on the main stage sharing what their stories were. And it was fabulous. And then we had a long, really long book signing table, and I think that we had 40 of the Toastmasters there. So when you got your book, then you just walked down and that you got, oh gosh, 40 different signatures. So if you brought your book, and I understand that a few of you brought your books today, then you get to collect some signatures, not just from myself, but from others. So that's our book. It's not my book. It's our book. It's our stories. None of them fabricated, every single one of them true by members like you. And we are blessed to have a couple of those contributors here today. So this is Helen Blanchard. If she were here today, she would say hashtag my why is because she was forced to join a club to work with her communication skills because she was, as we would call them, executive or senior executive admin assistant today. She was as high up as you could possibly go at the Naval Ocean Science Corporation out in Point Loma in San Diego, California. So she was working with all the bigwigs back there, and they said, oh, Helen, you need some communication skills. So she joined a club. That was her being inducted. Here she is being installed by John Lattin with her. Inside the orchid corsage is her international president's pin, by the way. So she was our very first female international president in 85-86. So then after Helen, in my district, there was one other district governor. 10 years went past where the high heels were disappearing from the leadership trail, and I stepped back in and re-broke the glass ceiling, and many, many female leaders to follow. If you want the best quote that I can share with you from Helen Blanchard, she said, if you get out of Toastmasters, all that you can get out of Toastmasters, you will never get out of Toastmasters. Now I understand it. And weeks leading up to her passing, I was visiting her in the hospital, and she had a very rare disease. It was interesting, so I needed to go in a hazmat suit. It was that critical for her. And she would never talk about herself. She always wanted to know what's happening in Toastmasters and how are things going on the book. It's like that's fortitude, that's leadership, that's putting yourself aside to serve the greater good. So again, it comes back to my point of what are you getting out of Toastmasters? And matter of fact, let me ask you here, who is our newest member?
My name is Dario Bianco. I'm a member of the USPTO Toastmasters, and I've been a member since June of this year.
Wow. Yay!
Good morning, everybody, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Martina Menden. I have joined Toastmasters September.
Of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
Only a couple months ago?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, thank you. And why did you join?
For all the reasons that you mentioned.
Oh, the husband? I'm so sorry.
Not as much of that. Of all the goals for the inspiration, for the growth, for the service, integrity, for the endless possibilities, learning.
Oh, good answer. Good answer. Thank you, and welcome to the family as well.
I am Lynn Ann Mullane, and I have rejoined Toastmasters just this 1 month ago in October.
Wow. And why did you join?
Well, I originally joined when I was 20 years old, right out of college, or 22. And I was there for about 4 years. It was a corporate club. And then I had to relocate for Washington. But it is so wonderful to be back in Toastmasters. I am in PMIWDC1 in McLean, and it's a joy to be reinvigorated back in the Toastmasters.
Oh, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Hello, everyone. My name's Fakisha Guy. I'm a Toastmaster. I just joined with the NASA Club, Club 34 in Washington, D.C. I just joined September 1st. My first but I joined September 1. I joined for networking possibilities and just to improve my public speaking and just to see what Toastmasters has to offer. I don't know, so I just want to see what the possibilities are with the endless possibilities.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Very much. Let's give again a great round of applause for our new members. Welcome. One of the two contributors that we have to the Heart of a Toastmaster book is here. So Laura Clancy, if you would please come on up. Come on, greet her with great applause. If you would tell about your story in the book and what's happened since, including your other books.
Absolutely. So I came to a Toastmaster event in, I'll say, 2012, and I met Sheryl. And actually, let me back up. Let me go to my why. I did this because I had started a business in 2010, and I wanted to go out and speak to people. I wanted to share my heart with people, things that were in my head, the things I had learned about fitness. And I went to this event that Sheryl had in 2012. It was called Market Like a Pro, which I think she said she's, yeah, anyway. So she told me about this Toastmasters book, and I submitted my writing because I was a writer, and she accepted it, and then it then evolved, and I was invited to the International Convention, and I was invited to share my story with thousands of people. I mean, what an opportunity. So my why is show up, learn to communicate what you're feeling, be the change you want to be, and people will start to respond. They'll want what you have, and they'll ask you to communicate, whether it's in a large room, one-on-one, and Toastmasters has given me the skills, many skills, to share my ideas with other people. Since then, actually, one other thing that I'll say, since then, I have written more books. I have gone out and spoken. I've now become a professionally paid speaker, which is phenomenal. So this is all because of Toastmasters. And so whatever you put in it, you will get out of it.
Talk about the confidence, too, in one of your extracurricular athletic endeavors.
I am a competitive power lifter. I, at one point, was a world record-setting, holding power lifter. I still think I have one record maybe out there. It's been a while. I just competed again, but I'm getting back into competition. But again, it's built my confidence. After that event in Cincinnati, I went to the Best-Selling Authors Summit, and I was invited out of 30 people to be 10 that spoke on stage, and I was one of the 3 winners. And I got that win because I actually reached out to Paul and I said, I want to practice this in front of real people, because then you get the feedback from the audience. You know how they're feeling. You get that live, buzzy. You can tell if you've met your mark or not, and it translates into the real world. So that's kind of my story.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
So Paul White, if you would please stand and share your story with us. Let's greet Paul White. Yay.
There's a quote that some of you might have heard, that life is like a box of chocolates. How many have heard that? Well, for me, it's not like a box of chocolates. Life is like a roller coaster. Sometimes you're really high and sometimes you're really low. So I was really high. I was at the very top as the LGET, as a legette of District 27. It was like April. We had almost met all of our educational goals. We were having Darren LaCroix come as a keynote speaker at our conference, and that was all my responsibility. I was so happy. We were going around to the 10-division contest promoting the conference. And all of a sudden, I found that even though I had notes about what was coming up, I was having trouble speaking. I was slurring my words. And when I was driving on the way to the meetings or on the way home, I was seeing double or triple. I had no idea what it was. A number of trips to doctors made me think it was maybe Lyme's disease. But it turned out that I had had 2 strokes and diabetes. So I submitted my resignation to John Lesko, the district governor. I said, John, I just cannot end the year with you. I barely know who I am sometimes. And let me tell you, the way that you know who you are is through your memories. The stories that you tell yourself defines who you are. And when all of a sudden that is erased, it's a really deep, dark place. So anyway, John said, let's cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm going to leave your name on the district slate. They elected me as district governor, even though I wasn't at the conference. John said, cross that bridge if you need to. So several angels were in my life. John Lesko was one. John helped restore my heart. There's also someone who helped restore my spirit. Vicki Kinsman, I'm sure many of you know Vicki. Vicki called me every day, my district governor year, to encourage me to keep going. And then there was also Sue Bartholomew, because sometimes your body is just not willing. Sue drove me to every Toastmasters event for 3 or 4 months so that I could continue my journey as a Toastmaster. So my why is this. The reason I stay in Toastmasters is because of the people. The people around you are your friends. That's why my title is A Friend in Need is a Friend Indeed. But we are all community, we're all family, and you never know which friend is going to step up to push you to that extra mile that you need to go. And that's my story, and that's my why.
You have heard some great my whys. And at the end of this program, Madam Director, we'll cue up that video so that you can actually see Reed. Reed was there the day I was there, and he had just filmed what you are going to see. And then the videographer said, oh, well, you're here. Let's film your my why. Man, so with that understanding from exactly TI staff, I'm pulling that into your process. Are you good with that? Because too, you have an opportunity to have your video, just like all the ones that you're seeing on Facebook and our social media, it could be you up on that screen representing your club and your district. What motivated you to become a member? What was your motivation or your challenge? Just like I shared with you my story, that I had employees that I wanted to give feedback to. So for me, it was the business aspects of it, of what originally brought me to Toastmasters to be a better communicator. What was your challenge? How was that? A little bit of reflection, going back to what's your why. Here's what I'd like you to do. Turn to the person seated next to you, partner up for this, and tell them your why. Now, who heard a fantastic my why? Wow, look at that. Would you like to volunteer your partner?
What motivated me to become a member was I was a mentee, and I know that in order to be a good leader, I needed to have speaking skills, I needed to build my confidence, and I needed to be able to stand in front of a crowd and be comfortable with giving my message. So for Toastmasters, my name is Stacy Brock Watkins, and this is my why.
Well done.
When I was at school, I couldn't speak English. And I was very, very terrified to give my speech in class. I used to talk to my team members, I do the job and you guys present. That's the way how I graduated. And when I wanted to be a bilingual docent at the Library of Congress, I had no more choice. I was sent to the Toastmaster Club. And I went to visit them. And they helped me how to overcome my public speaking. They told me how to use my speech, how to enunciate my words. And thank you to Toastmaster. Now I am a bilingual docent Toastmaster in the Library of Congress. And this is my why. Cuando vine a Estados Unidos yo no podía hablar inglés. Y estuve en la universidad, no podía dar mis presentaciones porque tenía mucho miedo de hablar en público. Y cuando yo tenía que presentar un trabajo en una clase, hablaba con mis compañeros de equipo, yo hacía los trabajos y ellos lo presentaban. Y cuando yo quería volverme una docente de la Biblioteca del Congreso de los Estados Unidos, me mandaron a Toastmaster para yo practicar mi oratoria. Ellos me ayudaron a cómo enunciar, a cómo enfocar mi voz. Y gracias a Toastmaster, hoy en día soy una docente bilingüe de la Biblioteca del Congreso de los Estados Unidos. Mi nombre es Clelia Ayala y esto es mi porqué.
What motivated me to join Toastmasters was that I was preparing for defend my dissertation. I was very nervous and I had panic attacks when I speak in front of people. So in 2013, Defense Headquarters established DHHQ's Toastmasters. I started practicing my dissertation thesis on my Toastmasters. They pointed out things, and the whole point of a dissertation is supposed to be simple enough for anybody who does not understand or have background be able to understand your dissertation. So there were some days where I had to break down some of the information. But why I stay and how Toastmasters has helped me, I'm standing here, I'm a little nervous, but I'm not having a panic attack. And since I've been named area director, I've been offered several speaking engagements. I had to turn down at least 3 because I'm a contracting officer representative and this is contractor time. But more importantly, my organization has asked me to speak on continuing education and why continuing education is important and why Toastmaster is an excellent option. We did a demo, and I'm motioning to Gary because he's also DHHQ Toastmasters. We did a demo this past Monday on how to how to manage a difficult audience. So we had 30 minutes allocated. We came in, we was having technical difficulties. Then we were cut by 10 minutes. So that left us with 20 minutes to get all the information in. And we were able to get all the information in, conduct the roles of the arguer, the chatterer, etc., all the 6 interrupters. And we videotaped it, and it's going to be on our company's SharePoint site. My name is Helen, and that's my why.
Could you take this back to your club and do this activity after this Communication and Leadership Symposium? Are you committed to doing that? Say yes. Whatever you learn in environments like this, don't keep it here. Go back to your club, all 8 of them if it is, and you let them know what they missed. And I'm going to circle back to the meaning of Speechcraft, because if it wasn't for someone invited me to attend that Speechcraft communication series, I would not be here today to serve you. So when you are doing an open house, please have a plan in place for launching a Speechcraft series, and they're available in 4, 6, or 8 weeks, fully tailored, to have the guests, and you go outside of the club, you promote it, you bring people into your club environment, and for the cost of what it is to become a member, the international and club dues, and any additional induction new member fee that you have, that is the cost, that's the tuition of the series. Then you let them know their tuition includes 6 months dues. Every time that I've hosted a Speechcraft program, it has recruited 10 to 12 members each time. And I wouldn't be here today if my club had not offered that when I came along and through those doors. So I hope that that has also assisted you in this. So here's what I've offered for you, and someone asked me about this already. If you'd like a copy of the Heart of a Toastmaster book, I will give you a copy of the Heart of the Holidays for free. It starts with Yuletide, coming up with Thanksgiving. Both of these, let's see, Heart of the Holidays was featured in Borders bookstores. The book agent actually asked me to write it. But again, it's all anthology, true stories, tributes, poems, real people, and including many Toastmasters. So in this session, we've looked at the true heart of a Toastmaster. You've shared with each other your heart, your story. You've shared your my why. This shows us the endless possibilities of what this organization offers and what you can expect from this symposium. Mr. Master of Ceremonies.